Hi, this is Carrie Clark from SpeechAndLanguageKids.com. I'm going to spend the next few minutes explaining what response-contingency therapy is for stuttering. In 2006, both et al. Did a systematic review of the current literature on stuttering. Basically, they looked at all the studies that were out there, all the research on stuttering, took the articles and the studies that were completed the best, the ones that were completed well, and compared the results. And what they found was that the best stuttering therapy for children right now is response-contingency therapy. Now, what response-contingency means is that your response to the child changes based on whether or not they stutter. So if the child says something very fluently without any stutters, then there's going to be a positive reward or a praise given. If the child says something with a stutter involved, then that is going to get corrective feedback instead. So they're getting immediate feedback on whether or not they stuttered, and it helps them understand what stuttering is, when they're doing it, and helps them correct it as well. So I want to go into a little bit of depth just about those. If you want more information, you can head on over to my website. There will be a link at the bottom of this video that you can head on over there and check out all the information about response-contingency therapy. But just so you have a brief overview, some examples of positive. So let's say that you're working with a child and he says something very fluently. He says, "I want a cookie." And you say, "Oh, I love how smooth that was." Or, "Wow, no bumps on that one. That was great." Or you can say, "Good talking. That was so smooth." So what you're doing is you're giving the information that, number one, it was smooth, or that it wasn't bumpy. So you're using those vocabulary words, smooth and bumpy. And then you're also explaining that when you're saying good job, you're talking about their speech and their talking. You don't want to just say, "Oh, good job, here's a cookie," because then they might think, "Oh, well, I said cookie, so that's what I did well." You want to give specific feedback about why you're praising the child. So that was smooth, that was not bumpy, good talking, I heard how smooth that was. Any of those kinds of things are going to be great positive feedback that you can give for that child. Now, if you have a child that stutters on just about everything that he says, you're going to want to set up situations for this child that are going to make him successful. So what you could do is you could do an activity where the child is required to use very short sentences or short phrases just to be able to get through that activity. So, for example, you can play Go Fish, where they have to say, "Do you have a car?" "Do you have a ball?" or "Go fish." And those are shortened phrases or sentences that will be easier for the child to say. So if you do that kind of activity and the child's able to be fluent, then you say, "Oh, great job. That was so smooth. I love how you said that." So you're giving that feedback about the fluent speech by breaking the activity down to something a little easier. Now, if the child is still stuttering on that, you can break it down even farther. So you can just hold up a picture of something and say, "What's this?" And the child says, "Apple." And if they don't stutter on the word apple, then you can give that positive reinforcement for that. So break down your activity to make it as easy as it has to be for that child to be fluent. So you're setting up situations for success. And then you're going to keep praising that. Now, once you get to the point where you find a level that the child is fluent at, you're going to do that for a while, praise it, and then you want to slowly build up the utterance length that's required in those activities. So, for example, if you have to go all the way back down to single words, then maybe your next step would be saying, "Okay, I want you to tell me the color and what it's called." So you can say red apple. Then you're putting two words together. And then keep doing that and praising the fluent ones until those get more consistent. Then you can bump it up to 3 words or 4 words. Just try to choose activities that are going to cause the child to use sentences that are of increasing length every time. Well, not every time you do it, but as the child gets more comfortable with that. Okay, so that's one side of this equation of response contingency. So you're going to be doing this praise piece. I tend to start with this because I feel like it builds up the trust and it builds up the relationship with that child first. And then after a few sessions of this, then I will move on to also including the negative side of this. And that would be the corrective feedback that's given when the child does stutter. So you can do these both in the same session. So you're praising the fluent ones, and then when the child starts to stutter, the key here is that you want to do it immediately. So as soon as they start that stutter, you want to provide some sort of corrective feedback. And I'm not telling you to yell at the child or get mad. You're not going to do it in a negative manner. You're going to do it in a supportive, helpful manner. So if the child starts to stutter, you can say, "Oops, that one was bumpy. Let's try again." So you stop them right there at the beginning and you give them that feedback of that was bumpy, or that was not smooth, or I heard some bumps in that. And you're going to start off by specifically telling them why you're stopping them and what you're catching. But as the child starts to understand what you're doing and the point of the activity, you can move towards some nonverbal cues. So you can put up a hand when the child starts to do it, or kind of give them a look like, oh, there it was, and see if they can stop that and correct it on their own. So you want to give this feedback whenever there's a stutter. However, again, if you have a child who is stuttering constantly, so everything they say has a stutter, you don't want to be doing this every time they try to talk to you. That would be incredibly frustrating. So what you're going to do is, at first, you're just going to start with a few here and there. So you might just pick the most severe ones, or you might pick every third or fourth one, whatever you feel like is comfortable for you and is non-frustrating to the child. But you're just going to, oops, there's some bumps, let's try again. Not in an aggressive manner, not in a mean manner. You're just helping support their development and their learning. So again, you start with the positive, do that for a little while, and then start introducing this corrective feedback. Then you're doing those both in the same session. Start out slow. You can also start out again with those shorter utterances and those activities that require shorter utterances, so that the child has multiple opportunities to be fluent and fewer of the disfluencies and the stutters that you're correcting. So start off with that. Again, build back up with that increasing length of utterance. Keep working on that until you feel comfortable doing what you're doing. Also, a big key here is to train those parents. So if you're an SLP listening to this, make sure that the parents are in the room with you while you're doing the therapy, if at all possible, and show them what to do, show them how to do it at home. This needs to happen throughout their week. They can't just come in twice a week and have this done in speech therapy. They need to be doing this at home as well. So this video would be a great example to show with them. You can share this with parents, and just make sure that everybody's on board and doing the same thing. I do want to just kind of briefly mention on the fact that this is kind of different than the traditional fluency and stuttering approach that a lot of SLPs are trained in right now. And I do want to address that it may seem kind of harsh and it may seem very direct. We're used to doing a very indirect kind of approach, especially with preschoolers, which this program is great for preschoolers. So don't feel like you have to shy away from this just because it seems a little harsh. This is what the research is showing is best. And again, you do it in a positive, supportive, nurturing manner. You're not tearing the child down. You're just helping them learn a new skill. So think about it that way instead of thinking about, like, giving them punishment for stuttering. All right, so that's it. Keep it positive, keep it supportive. If you have any questions, you can head on over to my website. I'll have that link here at the bottom of the video again. It explains in depth how to go into that and how to do the response contingency, especially with preschoolers. Again, I said that's really important. Once the kids get a little older, you're going to want to integrate some other types of therapies, such as talking about the emotional aspects of that, which you can find out on my website as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can have updates on the videos that go live as they come up. So thanks so much and have a wonderful day.